Welcome to the third part of our interview with Chuck Gahun from Forrester. If you haven't watched the earlier parts, be sure to watch them. You'll definitely don't want to miss out on any of this. So, welcome back, Chuck.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course. So, you often emphasize the importance of architecture, particularly APIs, in building connected ecosystems. So, from your experience, how can product managers and technical teams ensure that their API strategies not only meet current needs, but also drive the future of innovation?
Absolutely. Good question. It's a very loaded question. So I think I'll give a headline and then maybe I'll give an example that highlights an experience of another company just to maybe, spark the imagination for those that are listening. So the headline would be that more and more business teams are bringing their services to market through APIs, much more than just thinking about like connecting legacy systems, much more about modern front ends, much more about, I don't know necessarily where it's going to need to go, and I need to be prepared for the future. So that's really the headline in play. Through some of the research that I did, here's an example that has uncovered, a different go-to-market strategy. So global animal health company Covetrus, as an example, has partnered with 28,000 vet clinics to fulfill prescriptions. So you can imagine the way the story goes is that when a vet prescribes medication, the pet owner naturally wants to get to that medication as quickly as possible so that the pet is feeling better. And I don't know about all of you, but I can tell you that in my household, at least the pet is the center of attention. So you can imagine how other pet owners feel about this emotional moment in their journey, right? And so to remove that friction, as an example, when you purchase a medication, you purchase it from a joint website, which is that Covetrus and the vet clinics have a singular digital experience. And this not only allows a pet owner to achieve their desired outcomes, which is get my pet to be healthy. The outcome here is not to get the medication into my pet. The outcome is I want my pet to get better. So when you think about that outcome, it helps remove friction, but it also flexes a lot of other muscles. So as an example, it flexes digital marketing muscles where the clinics and the prescription side of the house are sending more coordinated messages into the patient, and the three of them are existing in a digital ecosystem. Naturally, you can imagine how a pet owner would be more than willing to share their information with both of these parties. They know that they're okay with sharing their data because guess what? They're helping them remove friction, achieve their outcomes. And what is the underlying stitching glue that's powering all of this together? It's APIs. It's bringing all of their business, both of their business services to market through APIs in one digital experience. This becomes much more about a partnership and a lot less about two different, business entities going after the same consumer, which is, I'm going to market to you for prescriptions, and then I'm going to market to you for your next wellness check for your pet. So as you start to see this come together, you start to see that it's actually helping pet owners get a singular product experience, and it manifests across just one set team that is driving value for both of their businesses together. So it's a very different way to think about it. We uncovered that. And I mean, the amount of business growth that both of all the vet clinics partnering with Covetrus have achieved are crazy because it's so easy for So that's an example of how to think about sort of APIs, future innovation, digital ecosystems, a lot of what we've been talking about.
That's a super interesting use case and kind of like a symbiotic relationship between the businesses, right? And they really have a lot of benefit from one another in that relationship. And I think it's especially interesting because this is what I believe we should see more and more of businesses doing this kind of collaboration in the future. And I mean, at Stibo System, the core of what we do has always been in integrations and APIs. Our platform is natively open, right? And we need to be able to integrate across enterprise companies as well, and not just with sharing product information, but also other parts of information that can be used in situations like this, right? And I think especially we have a lot of opportunity in the future because we have a lot of brands and manufacturers as customers, but we also have a lot of retailers on the other side, right? We also have a lot of different industries that actually naturally interact with one another, or at least the end consumer interacts with both the brands and the retailers and so on. But being sure that you ensure that you can have a cohesive experience across those different enterprises is going to be key in the future. And you can only get that if you actually have a deep integration in between the systems, even though they exist in vastly different environments, right?
Yeah.
And APIs is definitely a way of doing that. So very interesting use case here. I wanted to end off here with just getting your perspective on a couple of these future trends, and I wanted to just give you kind of like a few words, and then just hear your perspective and your thoughts on it. I thought that would be fun,
Sure,
and maybe end up with a little bit of a personal note as well from your perspective.
sure. Let's do
All
it.
right. So let's start out by talking about what first comes to mind when I say the words business value generation.
Ooh, that's good. I would say when I think about business value generation, I think about top line revenue growth for businesses. And the other flip side of that coin is I think about better experiences that are being driven through customer obsession. And I think as you start thinking of it that way, you see that both of those would be pointing north and adding not only value to consumers' lives, but also value for businesses. And so that's really business value generation end to end in my mind. That's why maybe some of my research has been really looking at more of this value gen side of generative AI rather than the operational efficiencies where we've been doing a lot already.
Right, it's super exciting, but that's also the obsession part is also a difficult part to achieve, right, as a brand. That's it's definitely a desired end goal. Um, so the next one on the list here would be dynamic experiences.
Oh, you're picking up all of my buzzwords through this series of interviews. I would say different states would exist for dynamic experiences, whether they're contextual, personalized, or at some level, in some ways, adapted to fit the channel or the device. But really, the sentiment behind dynamic experiences is to use some amount of generative AI, whether it's even just AI computing, to help power and drive business growth to any of those three pieces that I talked about: contextualized, personalized, or adapted digital experiences. And I think the best example I can give you is of where a API call goes out for a product detail page, and the way it's rendered back is through stitching multiple systems together: CMS, PIM, digital asset management. But through the intelligence of AI computing over time, you can see how those experiences will be a lot more dynamic in nature, and they would be a lot more customized with whatever data is present or whatever data the customer has allowed you to have access to.
Yes, yes, I think that's absolutely key, and it's interesting how AI plays a pivotal role again in this, and it kind of goes into the word dynamic, and is one of the core capabilities that we'll see more and more of in the future, right? Of being able to create those. Absolutely. Um, so that brings us to the next one, which is also quite interesting and a broad one, is how do you see the future of shopping?
Okay, this is a good one. I'll maybe give a different lens on this than that is just digital experience. So when I think about the future of shopping, some of the data I've been looking at recently has been showing that consumers are once again preferring to shop in store. And I think as we've talked so much about product experiences and PIM and data and content, the future of shopping as powered through generative AI applications over time needs to be seamless and seamless across physical and digital channels. I should be able to exit a store with having the experience of the product continue on my phone, to stop the journey and my customer data to whatever extent, and come back into the store, and like maybe have the sales associate at the store know which product I was looking at as soon as I walk into the store, which shoe was it that I was interested in, and continue the journey. I think that sense of seamless connectivity is really what's going to drive the future of shopping. Some folks are going to do it better than others. but I can tell you that that's going to start raising the bar, not only for digital experiences, but also for physical. And
Right.
now, the reason I share this is because I think it's going to shed a very different light on PIM and product experiences, which is,
Right.
see what I mean? It's less about just the digital angle, it's also physical. And when we start to see sales and top line growth go up on both, that's where I think product experience will be more and more.
You're kind of taking omnichannel to the next level, really, right? And taking it into the future. And I guess you also have more and more of the digital environment and the digital world actually showing up in the store as well. Like even digital element, like the shelf fronts and so on might actually be like interactive and know you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's tie it up and bring it back to the digital experience ecosystem as a whole. What comes to mind when I say that?
Yeah, I would say that these are really consumer driven ecosystems that are rich in, will eventually be rich in product discovery through their own data and knowledge of their own content that they have accessed, which simply means, I think that's a long way of saying that as a consumer, I will create my own personal digital ecosystem, may it be on my device or on my computer, where I am going to share my data with specific brands. And through that, they will help me within my ecosystem uncover more experiences, stitch experiences together for travel journeys and the like. And I think these ecosystems are going to really be powered, obviously, through AI computing and AI powered applications, but more importantly, through consumers sharing their content and data and creating a backbone of history of how they are engaging with their devices.
Right, and businesses needs to be ready for that, right, as well, and be able to actually be ready for receiving that information and put it into
Exactly.
action across the board, right? Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Good. I wanted to then end up with a little bit more of a personal Chuck question. So now we've talked about all of these different services and where we see the future of shopping is going. So what is your favorite app these days in relation to all of this?
Sure. So I think before I share the name of the app and the experience I'm having with it, I'll first just share, digital ubiquity in consumers' lives and their comfort with digital continues to grow. I mean, there are so many use cases of this. Think about fitness classes and cooking classes and dating apps. But even more than that, think about some of the more, you know, traditional tasks that we wanted to complete, renewing your driver's license. You can do that
Mm.
online. If somebody had told me that in the 90s, I would have never believed you. But that is the case, right? So similarly, I'm glad you asked this question. I recently decided that I wanted to learn how to play the guitar.
Okay.
And a friend of mine recommended an app called Simply Guitar.
Mhm.
The idea that I can have an app use my phone's microphone and its camera to figure out how well I am playing and give me real-time recommendations on how to tweak and play the right frets and chords and all of that, all while teaching me how to play it on songs that I love, is
Mhm.
mind. So like if you think about it, I spend many evenings in my living room with an app and my guitar. And guess what? There's so many opportunities within that experience itself for additional offers and product experiences and the upsells. And so you can see, like, here's a story that is being woven together with a new consumer trying something new, but through a first time digital experience, manifesting some amount of loyalty in how well. I mean, once this app teaches me to play the guitar, think about how many people I'm going to refer this to. Think
Oh
about how,
yeah.
and think about the opportunity they have then to expand the portfolio. So I've already seen offers pop up for Simply Piano. So you can start to see how this is going to extend and really grow into my ecosystem if they're successful.
Yes, it's definitely an interesting use case. And you can see how you would also probably need a better guitar as you get better, right? So how's it going so far? Can we hear something from you at some point in the future?
Sure, absolutely. I can tell you it is a lot more challenging than it looks, but there's also a little bit of a muscle memory story involved. So
Right.
I'm hoping as I keep going, it gets easier and easier.
That's fantastic. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for all of these questions here and answers, Chuck. It's been lovely talking to you throughout these three different interviews here. Thank you so much for joining me in this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great conversation.
All right. So I wanted to end up with just a note on please visiting cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. And make sure that you go back and watch all of the previous parts of this interview if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much.